The setting was the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve are the central figures in an idyllic surrounding. All is peaceful, all is innocent. They are told by God that they are free to do anything except one thing. They are forbidden to eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge which grows in the midst of the garden. For if they eat of the fruit, they shall be driven from the garden, and from that day forward they shall be responsible for their own lives. They eat the fruit, they are driven from the garden, they are responsible for their own lives. With the coming of knowledge, they have lost their innocence. The transition from innocence to knowledge is always perilous and fraught with hazard. There is something very comforting and reassuring about innocence. To dwell in innocence is to inhabit a region where storms do not come and where all breezes are gentle and balmy. It is to live in the calm of the eye of the hurricane. It is to live in a static environment which makes upon the individual no demands other than to be. All else is cared for, is guaranteed. But when knowledge comes, the whole world is turned upside down. The meaning of things begins to emerge. And more importantly, the relations between things are seen for the first time. Questions are asked and answers are sought. A strange relentlessness comes over the spirit, and the enormity of error moves over the horizon like the vast shadow. Struggle emerges as the way of life, and appetite is awakened that can never be satisfied. A person becomes conscious of themselves. The urge to know, to understand, to find answers turns inward. Every estimate of others becomes a question of self estimate. Every judgment upon life becomes a self judgment. The question of the meaning of oneself becomes one with the meaning of life. The process of moving from innocence to knowledge is never finished. Always there is the realm of innocence. Always there is the realm of knowledge. Always there is some area of innocence untouched by knowledge. The more profound the growth of knowledge, the more aware the individual becomes of the dimensions of innocence. Pride in knowledge is always tempered by the dominion of innocence. Often we do not become aware of innocence until we have experienced knowledge. The setting is the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve are the central figures in an idyllic surrounding. All is peaceful. All is innocent. They are told by God that they are free to do anything except one thing. They are forbidden to eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge which grows in the midst of the garden. For if they eat of the fruit, they shall be driven from the garden. And from that day forward, they shall be responsible for their own lives. They eat of the fruit. They are driven out of the garden. They become responsible for their own lives. What you just heard, family, was a reflection, a speech by Dr. Howard Thurman called When Knowledge Comes. And my questions are for us to reflect on in what ways are we experiencing knowledge and leaving innocence behind? In what ways are we responsible for our own lives, and what does that responsibility look like? Where does the line of our responsibility for our own lives and our responsibility to our neighbors begin and end? Where is that line? Thurman lifts up the idea that knowledge does away with innocence. And knowledge also carries with it responsibility. What is that responsibility, beloved? I'm blessed to be on a journey with you all, figuring out what that is, what that looks like, and how to live into it. And I encourage you to walk in the blessing that is knowledge and fully accept the responsibility of all that comes with it. As knowledge pulls the scales off our eyes around injustice and evil in the world, let us take up the responsibility to do something about it. I love you all very much, and I hope you have a great day. Farewell.